Everybody to the September 27th, 2022 meeting of Arts and Public Places Commission. We are beginning the meeting at 7:01 p.m. Joe, may we have a call to order and roll call, please?
Yes. Genevieve.
Here.
David.
Not here.
No, that's not true. Jim.
Here.
Barbara.
I'm here.
Carissa. I see her.
Yes, she's here. She's on the phone on 50. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
you guys
we hear
hear
you.
me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'm here.
Cynthia.
Here.
And Lynn. I think I could officially, yeah.
I'm here.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
This is David, and I make a motion to approve the agenda.
A second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Great. And everybody have a chance to review our minutes from July.
Correct.
Anybody have any questions, concerns, or comments on the minutes from July 26th? Okay, then. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from July 26, 2022?
This is Barbara. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Barbara. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Well, we can start into old business, and I will lead over to Barbara, the Poet Laureate updates.
Thanks, Genevieve. Hi, everyone. Just a quick note, on August 23rd, Maggie hosted her latest Local Ales and Poetry Tales, which is adult poetry open mic night. It was at Ford Brewing in Eastport. I don't know if you guys had a chance to go out. Unfortunately, I was out of town, but she said it went really well and everyone had a good time. Secondly, Maggie is working on the youth poetry contest. October 15th is the deadline. And the theme is Where I'm From, and it's geared to youth 18 and under. And she's really excited to be working with the kids. And lastly, thank you, Cynthia and David, for forwarding the information from Dr. Michael Saltzman. He's a neurosurgeon and poet. I forwarded to Maggie, and I haven't heard back yet, but they're going to work on a future collaboration, which I think is going to be very exciting for Annapolis to have him come and read some of his poems. He's written quite a few, and he has well published. And that's about it for now.
Cool.
Thank you, Barbara. So for gallery updates, Audrey has sent over the new installation that will go into Pip Moyer, and that's on October 4th, and it's called Coastal Impressions. It is done by the artist Nancy Kahn-Schimmer, and I will forward some of her work to all of you that I have in this email from Audrey, so everybody can see it. And hopefully the reception date has not been announced yet, so when it is, I'll get it out to everybody and we can get over there to see the beautiful art that will be put in. And then I believe what's hanging in City Hall right now, she didn't send me a change yet, I think is for the Latina X. I think I can double check with Laura on that. She is in check. Yes, it is hanging in, thank you, the Latino Heritage Month. So that is hanging in City Hall still. I'm not sure what it changes out to, but I'll let you all know when I have that schedule from Audrey. Changes the first week of November, Laura says. Thank you, Laura. we made an exception to the schedule to get the pieces in there for Latino Heritage Month. So we got that in there. Let's see. I don't have any proposed murals currently. Reception. Oh, okay. So the reception for the Latino Art Gallery is October 10th. And I believe there will be a flyer for that. So I'll forward it to everybody. So proposed murals, we don't have any current proposed murals to present. I did talk to Visit Annapolis today. They are looking to do a mural behind their office near the parking garage off the circular parking area. So we walked it today. We're also looking at a couple other walls to hopefully pitch the idea to finally put in the written art and visual art that we wanted to do with the Latino poetry, the Latino writer for poetry. I think you guys remember, I think it's been almost 2 years now. I've been trying to work on this, find a wall for him to do his poem on. And so we're still trying to find a place for that. So if anybody has a really good suggestion, that would be helpful. But I do know that the building owner has already given Visit Annapolis permission to use that. We're doing research right now to see if it has to go through HPC, and then a concept will be drafted up. But other than that, the Prince George mural is being completed. It's not done yet, but it's absolutely amazing. So if you guys have time to go over there and take a look at it, please do. Otherwise, there are pictures of it on our Instagram page and our Facebook page. They've been uploaded and shared. The Eva Cassidy mural had its dedication. That was a great turnout, a wonderful event. It was beautiful, and it's a nice little addition over there. And then we know that the mural at the Arundel Center was completed. They also did a smaller murals too on another part of the building, but it's interactive. So if you get a chance to go over there, make sure you interact with it. The boat moves on your phone when you look at it. It's very cool. It's a nice concept to do more interactive stuff with your smartphones and the murals, and something that leads into what we'd like to do with all of our murals eventually, QR codes on them. So we have the information, and if anybody's visiting and they want more information, Jeff Huntington already does it on his murals. So we would just have to go back and add the information onto the murals that we already have. And then moving forward, make sure that the artists are putting a QR code on there that people can interact with. And then, Joe, do you have anything for us on grants?
I was going to have a much bigger update because the library was sponsoring what I thought was a sort of grant searching workshop, and had signed up for it before I realized it was a what to do with your grants after you get them workshop.
Oh.
So
Spend it.
Spend the money. Yeah, really. You need a workshop to do that?
I know.
Joe, did you get a refund?
I know.
It's all free.
No.
So but some of you know this, that in my job, I just shifted into a half-time administrative position where I'm now the director of the gallery at the college. And in that capacity, I have a Maryland State Arts Council grant. And so I've been talking to my liaison, and so she has agreed to kind of talk to me more generally kind of about resources and stuff like that. So it's nice new contact that I can maybe take advantage of for this as much as anything else. So I might have I'm kind of optimistic about that as a resource, but nothing concrete, but something.
Yeah, and they actually have a surplus with the state arts right now that we should be tapping into.
Is it the Arts Relief Fund? Is it that? I think
it's well, there's two of them. I think there's one that has a 50,000 cap on it, and then there's another one that's a 10,000. And one of them is for work of art, and you don't have to have an actual RFP like already put together, but you have to, have some sort of legitimate plan and projection. And I thought maybe it's something that we can look into for the Westgate Circle.
Okay.
So we can talk about it more offline. And once Lynn is sworn in, maybe this is a subgroup committee that she would like to volunteer for, because Lynn does a lot of grant writing, and she got a lot of money for the city while she was working there. So it's open. It's an open door if you'd like Lynn.
Great.
So
Yes.
yeah. So you and Joe can talk offline about finding some more good money.
That would be great.
Yeah, so we lost Karma. So she was our other grant subcommittee member. So awesome. Anything else, Joe? Sorry. Okay. Public outreach updates. I did have a check-in meeting with April today from the Arts Council. Again, just an open door for us moving for projects forward to make sure that we keep them informed, and if there's funds available for our projects, and they're more than happy to work with us on that. As well as I did have a meeting with Visit Annapolis today. Like I said, they're looking for mural, but as well as working on the schedule of events coming up for next year. They would like to start doing planning. It's easier for them to market and plan if we have a list and some sort of projection a year in advance. We kind of work more like 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
So
Really.
yeah, but that, or
in advance too. Come on.
Yeah, I know, right? Welcome to Annapolis. So we're gonna sit down and try to do at least a 6-month plan, which I normally do anyway for our summer programming in January. So that's what we're working on. The roundtable meetings that were put on hold should pick up again in October. April kicked 2 dates to us, so she's going to ask everybody else if these dates are viable, and they'll get something on the table. And I think it's going to be at Maryland Hall, so that information will come out. Again, it's just trying to unify and figure out ways that we can all do our scheduling together and work more as a big wheelhouse instead of a lot of little things going on everywhere, but try to make sure that, we do have something at least every weekend, during the summer, which so far has not been a problem. It has been pretty amazing downtown. There's been a lot of stuff being programmed and going on, but having that all in ahead of time helps everybody like market it and advertise it and get it out. So that's another objective of the roundtables. Hopefully we can get the communication rolling again with all of us sharing information and planning. So that's all I have with public outreach updates. And if nobody has any questions about the updates so far, we can move on to the budget. So I did attach the budget. I sent out the new report. Finance is going to give us a report middle of the month, every month now. So we should have an idea a couple weeks in advance before the agenda comes out, what we have available to spend and what has been paid going forward. So this will help us with our meetings, and we hopefully won't have to table things unless for other reasons, but it shouldn't be financial. We should be kept up to date now. So the only thing I want to mention is James and I are going to go through this, and there are a couple things that are outstanding that I need to get invoices for, but the MC3 money that was granted to them for the $1,000 that's being held, that will be returned because they ended up not doing any performances the summer of 2021. So that will go back into our fund, but all the other, I believe are.
What is the current balance of the fund?
So currently we have $219,600.
Is that for the first 6 months?
No, that's
Of
for
the
the whole
fiscal year?
fiscal year, starting in, so July to the end of June 2023.
Okay.
And what has already been paid is shown out of the fiscal year 2023. And that's our city doc performances. So far, those checks have been cut. With the minute approval tonight, the funding to the new murals will go out in a check as 2 checks. And then the Old Fourth Ward Unity Day will be cut. That'll be paid. Kunta Kinte Festival will come out of here as well. And then I believe Juneteenth has not been cut either, just so you know. So I don't have the total on that off the top of my head, but it'll probably be just under 200,000 after those are paid.
Okay, I was about to ask, yeah, so it's 219 minus the stuff that's already out due.
Yeah,
Okay.
the outstanding stuff that's
Gotcha.
not listed there.
Cool.
Um,
All right.
So what James does is they go in and for the ones that we have contracts for, which we have contracts for all of our summer programming that, you know, we book, those are put in as to be paid out. But the grants that we do, they don't show as being held prior to being paid because we don't have a contract technically for those grants. That is, they come and ask for the sponsorship, and then after the minutes are approved is when it's handed over to finance and procurement to pay, so, and be approved for payment.
Seems a little hard to get a real picture on money because there's, money outstanding. There's money that was spent over the summer. Do we have I'm going to ask this question, and I know I'm going to get yelled at. Do we have a budget for this money?
So it's not allocated, in certain clumps, like, performance will only be this per fiscal year and visual art will only be this per fiscal year. We're allowed to just spend the total budget per fiscal year. And then also remember that it rolls over. We're basically the only budget that technically rolls over. So there at one point in time, we talked about allocating and setting up the separate budget sections, saying that we'll give out certain amount of grants, to whatever XYZ. And it was advised to us by the city and from the legal department not to set it up that way, because then it would put us in a box to only spend that amount. And if another project came in, like let's say for murals, we said we're only spending 10,000 and the 10,000 is gone, but this really awesome project comes to us, for additional amount of money, we would have to either say no, or we would have to, do some sort of other majority vote to add more funds to that budget instead of just leaving the budget free and flowing, instead of having subcategories for the budget to be spent.
Plus, we never had this much money before, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the more reason to count it a little more carefully. I'm concerned because we have, the city knows now that we have a lot of money, and they want a piece of it. And we're talking about groups that are very established and have, they have money, but they want more. And they want our money to fund their programs or their activities, and they could well fund them themselves. But if we don't know what we really, I feel like we're just a ATM. That's not funny.
It's not an inaccurate description. But we don't, that's the thing about the commission is it's a decision. Like, we don't have to give money. That's why we're all here to discuss, the the asks of sponsorship and whether it fits within our code and our objective for, supporting local art within the city. I do worry that if we do box the money into individual budgets like that, that it will start to keep us in a box.
Does
But
anybody in finance use a spreadsheet? I mean, this is not rocket science. I don't see
are
why.
you not, Jim, are you not getting the budget? Because I sent it out and it
I
is
got a budget from last summer. I got
It's
it. The last budget I got was, I pulled it out. It doesn't have a date on it, but it was pretty old as far as I could tell.
The budget went out on
That's-
20. Yeah.
Yeah, I just sent
20,
the report
there's a
out.
budget for 2022. There's an item. I got that. Whatever
Okay, I'm
that
gonna
is.
send you the one that, again, right now to your email, but it has tabs on the bottom. So the first tab is a summary and the second one is the 2023 spending detail. And
No,
then
this is just a list of expenditures.
I don't know what that is, that you got then.
Okay. That's all I got.
So did you not get my email with everything on it?
With everything in it?
Yeah. So it has the agenda, the minutes, the budget.
I got the agenda.
Because
and
I
I got
have
the-
you.
I got the minutes.
So I have,
I didn't see the budget in there.
okay, so it says AIPPC budget FY 19.
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, so this,
That's something that you and I'll have to work out. I'm sorry to be obstreperous about it, but
I just don't know if like your email is wrong.
$1,000 out there and not having a plan for how to spend it. Or how
No,
to,
there's,
how to
there's-
constrict it is
yeah, I think I'm sending
dangerous.
this to you again. But let me double check on your email if I can.
Okay. I mean, it's very
you-
possible.
Can you tell me what your email address is, please?
Yes, it's jimnaplis@gmail.com.
Yep. And that's,
Napolis.
that's what I
at
sent it to. And it went out yesterday at 8:35 p.m. And it comes from Annapolis AIPPC. It's the Annapolis Gmail account.
Right. No, I didn't see it. Let me go back to yesterday. Well, let's not tie it up about this, but and I'm just a little concerned about it.
Yeah.
Because I think that one of the problems that we're going to have is, as people know that we have money, we're going to get a lot of big requests.
And we have, but I mean, that doesn't mean that we have to, give them what they ask too. It's what we feel we can allocate funds to, while keeping in mind that, we want to spread the money around the whole city, not just dump it all into one section.
Right.
So I just sent it to you again. So, okay. Any other questions, concerns about, the newest report for September? Okay. So speaking of allocating funds, though, I do want us to have a discussion about how much of the approximately 200,000 we are willing to set aside for the RFP for the Westgate Circle. I know, David, you had some ideas on this, so.
Yeah, I mean, thinking that, a decent piece of art is probably gonna be in high five to maybe six figures. And I know we'd be looking for some additional funding from various folks. Maybe somewhere in that neighborhood, 30-40%. I'm not quite sure. I mean, again, up for discussion, but at least, because we're gonna, this is cost associated with that, I'm sure, but like the 30-40% of the budget, I think would be a good starting point. And then I think regardless of that, we should still doc, my dad's coming through now, like, stick some under the mattress for just as also an emergency, another 5, 6, 7 grand just in case. So, I don't know, 35, 40%, of which, bulk of that would go towards the RFP. The other half will just, rainy day fund kind of thing. That's just, my overall, not to I know I see Jim's point. I mean, granted, like Jim, people are going to ask for all the money they want. It's up to us to decide what they give it to them. But I do think we should make sure that we, compartmentalize a little bit at least to say that, we're going to, this much was going to be for whatever, rainy day fund, this much for that. And the rest can be for whatever comes through. But that was just my suggestion.
Good.
Yeah,
good,
and we've
good
always
point.
done the budget with a holdover, for the summer. We've always held what the summer production would be, because we didn't know how much money we were getting. We had to wait until the budget came out and got approved. So we've never spent all the way down, to make it a zero balance, mainly because we don't have to. And that is a luxury that we have. Like I said, like we're the only commission that doesn't have to, or anything that's on the budget that doesn't have to spend every penny or lose it. So,
and I'm just saying, just in case, like you mentioned, if something really cool and monumental comes up that we really want to be a part of. We've kind of saved that little rainy day fund, but then something pops up that's just like monumentally cool that we really want to be part of, that would be beneficial to the community, to the artists, to blah, blah, blah. And then we'd have some money to, to do that. So, I mean, again, like I said, that's just my suggestion. I'm open to, the conversation about what other people think.
Can I ask for a clarification, actually, just to go back to the budget on this rollover issue? So I know, I mean, the budget is kind of hard to track because it's always a moving target. And, something we did 2 months ago now is just now even showing up as a budget item. But in the budget, is this from last year, the 51.5, is that going to roll over into our budget?
It did already.
That's okay. So that is already present in the budget.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, that helps me, because in essence, like sort of a thumbnail calculation of what David said is kind of close to that figure.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, was that
we're talking about $60,000.
Yeah, I was thinking like 50.
That's not a bad amount. My question is, at what point will we have an opportunity to talk about collaborating with Maryland Hall, MC3, Inner West Street, the Arts District, all who are players around that circle and have a stake in that circle, in addition to community associations in the area? Because if we reach out to some of those groups, they can recruit grant money, and that $60,000 may well be $100,000. And then if we have a well thought out process, as was done with the Anne Arundel Center mural, where a significant number of people were involved in the winnowing down process of judging the artists and their concepts, and they eventually got down to, I think, 5, and then narrowed it down to 2, who they got to work together. And it was brilliant, the way they did that. But they came up with a good piece of art. Now, the question is, are we going to work with people to do that, or are we just going to send out an RFP and hope for the best?
So as mentioned in our previous meetings, it will be a panel. It'll be 3 people from AIPPC and 3 community members will be on the panel that will accept the RFPs for review and select the final. And then the city, of course, has to as well approve it. And then
I think that's way too limited.
And then it comes before the commission. I mean, we can't get. I can't have a panel of 20 people.
Why not?
And the Arts Council didn't do a panel of 20 people either. So it's, I mean, there'll be public comment and it'll be open. It's not going to be closed. So And that's also what our roundtables are for. The meetings that we have.
Well, 3 people from the public is pretty limited.
Well, we can
I think
discuss.
we really,
Somebody,
we really need to reconsider that.
well, we can set it up and we can vote on it. So
I want it to be successful, and I want it to be popular and well-liked and be a really good piece of art.
I understand.
Whatever
I
it
understand.
is.
But we're not quite there yet anyway. So
Can
sorry,
I jump?
Krista, go
Can
ahead.
I jump in?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm listening in. So one of the things that I'm wondering is, or as I'm hearing it, is, you know, anyone can submit their submission. So if any of these groups want to pull their resources together and submit a submission with their proposal that is funded, or that there's extra grants or those kinds of things, that's fine too, right?
Well, yeah, and it'll be open for public comment, but
Right, it'll be open for
Yeah.
public comment, and any of the groups that you mentioned, and I hear you, I understand what you're saying, that you want a broader reach and all that, but anyone can make those submissions, and then we narrow it down, and then there's the panel that works on this. So, but in other words, any of the art groups in the area, any of the artists that want to come together on something and create something, that can all be considered. So I don't think that we're ruling it out that it wouldn't. You know, if a group from Maryland Hall wants to do something, or they want to team up with another arts group, and they have found other grant money, that could happen too, I would think, right?
That's generally not the way this kind of project would work. Generally, what you do is you announce an RFP with some parameters in it, and you have a selection committee that begins the process of winnowing it down to finalists, and you have maybe 3 or 4 steps. We're asking,
right. I understand that.
We're going to be spending
what
money.
I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that anybody could submit their submission, right?
Well, the problem
As long as
is
it's within our
you
parameters.
you have a major piece of art in a very sensitive location, and your specifications need to be defined by maybe this committee or a subcommittee of this group, or a more collective group, which is what I hope we would do, a more collaborative group, and come up with some parameters for what can be done. State Highway would be very helpful. A number of other people could be very helpful. But the bottom line is, you're going to have to spend some money with some of these artists to attract the kind and caliber of artists that's going to need to be designing something in that circle. That's not something you can just schlep up a board and paint a picture on it. You really have to do quite a bit more work than I think we envision. I may be overstretching it, but
Jim,
it may be a better
Jim,
way to explain it.
for those of us who have been involved in panels and the organization of public art projects, I think everything that has been said, nobody's thinking we're going to schlep it together. And I think we're all realize the amount of community input that's needed. But I think for a project of this scale, to kind of have those lines of communication go through a relatively kind of select committee, that's not cutting off anybody's public input. And as Krista certainly is saying, like, once the RFP is out there, which of course we would define in a careful way, any other group can kind of collaborate with us or put forward something themselves. And if they want to do some additional fundraising for that, that's perfectly within the lines of a submission to do that. That's not our responsibility. So I think I'm just objecting a little bit to the kind of, I don't think anybody is thinking we're not going to have a well thought out process that's also not going to be inclusive. And we ourselves are representatives of each community within the city. So that also becomes another avenue and a kind of important kind of place for that discussion, regardless of whether you're a member of the kind of panel or not from this committee.
Yeah. And it's going to be a permanent piece. It's not something that, you know, can be a temporary piece. And that's hence the budget is going to be relatively large. So we're looking, you know, to have it matched with the state and the county. And, you know, the Arts Council said they could definitely give us something, but they're not sure. They probably couldn't match the 50 if we put 50,000 forward, but possibly, you know, state arts can, or we can find extra money somewhere from the state budget somewhere. So, but yes, it's going to be, I think, really well represented. And we've never told somebody that we wouldn't listen to their ideas. I've even had people turn in ideas already. So they're sitting here. You know, I've talked to sculptors already who are like, you know, what are you going to do? And I'm like, we're not really sure yet as far as the specific, if we have a theme or an idea, because that is something that we will continue to discuss with the commission and the panel as we create the RFP. So, but I think now is the time for us to decide the money that we are comfortable setting aside to come straight from arts and public places. So we do hold that money and we can show it as being there and we don't touch it. So
Can I make a motion?
That's good.
yes, yeah, you may, Dave.
Okay, well.
And I would second the motion.
Thanks.
Whatever it is, Jim's on board.
My motion.
No, I'm all for it. You know, setting that money 30% of our 200, that's $60,000. That's the level of art. It's just beginning to approach the level of art that we would want.
Yeah. And I was thinking more, splitting the difference between. So my motion is that we set aside 35% of our funds after all the monthly current stuff has been done. 35% of that budget for the purpose of using towards Westgate Circle.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jim. Joe, can we do a roll call for vote, please?
Yes, but can you clarify the language of that? I'm trying to get it in the minutes.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
We want to
You made the motion.
reserve 35% of the remaining funds after all the summer activities basically have been withdrawn, and we're down to our base amount. So we want to reserve 35% of that, of our remaining budget, to use for Westgate Circle, to put towards Westgate Circle.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I got it.
Cool.
And I can get that number for us. I'll send it out this week.
Okay. Genevieve,
Yes.
Joe, I, David,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Krissa,
I'm going to keep to myself on this one. I'm not going to vote on this.
that's abstain. and Cynthia.
Aye.
Motion passes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ayes and 1 abstention.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Any other questions, concerns, or comments on the budget before I move on? Okay. Next up then is the items that we tabled until this meeting because we were not sure of what the exact amounts were in our budget in July. So, first up is the Songwriters Festival, and all that information went out in July. Does anybody need to have it to review it before we do a vote on it?
Could I make a comment again?
Okay.
At some point, we are going to need to look at our rules for accepting these proposals so that groups that can well afford to spend the money they're asking us for should not be getting the money. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know the budget of this group, but we should get a budget from, and I think you may have asked for it, a budget from each of these people proposing we give them money. And we should also know their finances.
So that is included in the sponsorship ask.
Saw the words.
We do ask them, and most of them are very thorough in giving a line by line detail of what they're spending the money on. If they don't, I normally do ask them to submit a more detailed information so we can make those conscious decisions and knowing where the money's going and how it's being spent. In fact, I normally ask the entities to have the artist theirself submit and ask for the sponsorship. That way it's more clear exactly where the money is going. And especially for our reports, it shows it going to the artist versus going to, an entity within the city. So it is something that we're pretty conscious of, Jim, and it's a good point. Thank you for commenting on that.
Do we need a motion to untable them?
Yes, I think we definitely do.
Okay. Like before we start talking about anyone in particular?
We could probably make a motion for each one individually.
Okay.
I can't vote on the Inner West Street proposals
you'll
because
have
I
to-
serve on their board. So I
you'll have to
recuse
abstain.
myself.
Yeah, that's fine. You can abstain, Jim. Thank you. Okay. Do we have a motion to untable the Songwriter Festival sponsorship ask?
I will move to untable that.
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. So the ask was for $10,000, and it was to support the local songwriter shows throughout the city. It wasn't to go towards the main stage that had the touring songwriters coming in and playing. Did anybody have any further comments or questions on the application?
Trying to pull it up. I thought I had it somewhere.
Well, we have an opportunity since this event already took place and it was very successful for a first time event. Do we have any idea how much they made from the Songwriters Festival? And did they make more than 10,000? So they're able to pay the local artists with the money that they used for their fees for the big bands. So they may not need our money at this point, 10,000, because they already made over 10,000.
From somebody who comes from working many years in the entertainment industry, I can probably say that they didn't make money this year, but you normally don't for your first couple of festivals. I'm trying to look up and see if they sent me any new figures afterwards. Stand by. If anybody else has any other questions while I look this up, you can go ahead and.
I guess
We should ask them.
Now I wonder if, again, that's probably a question for Ashley, is like people come to us for funds for an event and then we reconvene after the event. Do we need to make any provision that we'll pay you based on what we think you paid after your event, depending on how much money you made? Is that something we need to, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
If somebody has an event and, they shoot for the moon and they make $100,000 and then like, we have $10,000 more, but we just saw that you made $100,000 after your event happened, is there any, I'm just wondering if there's any legalese that needs to say that, based, especially if an event it's already happened. I guess if it's an event that's happening, 3 months from now and we're voting on, then something different versus, this is a unique situation for us because we had to wait for our money to come through before we made a decision on whether we funded them or not. So I'm just wondering, what kind of, conversations need to happen with, folks either legally or for those groups to say, okay, your group, your success, your event was a success. You made $100 million or blah, blah, blah. And you're asking us for 10. We're like, nah, we're good. You're good. You don't need our money.
Well, I will say from planning festivals, that generally any funds that you do make that are left over are normally put to the next year festivals. So it's not like they're walking away with large chunks of change in their pockets.
And, like I said, doing Kunta Kinte for many years, that's usually the case. Usually the break even or you have like $2,000 left over based on, because, you spent all that money up front on tents and stuff and logistics and the whole bit. So even though you may have a lot of people come through, I understand where you're coming from. Again, I'm just thinking, down the line, based on Jim's point, it's like, we should pay you what, a proportion of what have you. So I'm just, again, playing devil's advocate here.
Well, I hear what you're saying, David, but I think it's sort of comparing apples and oranges. The Kunta Kinte Festival is a 32-year festival, very local, been building in popularity over the years. The Songwriters Festival, as I understand it, is more of a national event. And that I think that with the scrutiny of public funds and the expenditures, we need to be extremely cautious about how we are spending the public's money.
I understand completely. And then I was using Kunta Kinte as an example, not to compare the two.
Right. But
from my experience with, festivals in general, by and large, don't usually make a lot of money. And they don't, nobody's driving away in Lamborghinis after that. Maybe some promoters are, but that's another story. But, I'm just saying.
It's a little bit, David and Goliath a little bit.
Right. But I'm just saying
it depends a lot on who's running them. And I have to tell you, yes, Kunta Kinte has been around for a long time. And they recently they brought in a new director or something. And I think they're serious about making themselves self-sufficient or at least have the money to make themselves self-sufficient. I thought a better way to look at this is that our grants should be given to startups and groups in areas of the city that haven't been supported in the past, and help them for their first 1, 2, or 3 years to get on their feet. And if a group has a disaster or something and they really need help to bail themselves out, we could do that. But these big organizations that are throwing these events, I know I'm going to get into trouble, are, trust me, they're really not representative. And by the way, the Songwriters and Singers Festival was an international event. There were people from outside the country that came to it to perform. So, I think we either set a dollar limit or some kind of a limit, but I think if we tell them that, if they come in and ask for $20,000 or $10,000, that's taking $10,000 or $20,000 away from some local activity or somebody who may really be deserving. In a different way. It's a really hard choice. I agree. It's a hard choice, but we have to make it, and we should make it, because our job is to protect that money and to use it for City of Annapolis events and activities and whatever.
Yeah. So that's why it comes to a vote. Just because they ask for $10,000 doesn't mean we give them $10,000. And it also, we could give them $500, or we could vote to just not fund either.
Mhm.
That's the power that we have in our vote. So I'm not sure that we have to, again, put a limit on what they're asking for. I just think, I think we have that opportunity here to discuss it. And that's another reason why we tabled it. And that's why we set up the new process too. So we do have time to discuss and we don't vote right
Mhm.
away, right after presentation. We make sure that we're, everybody is
That's
comfortable
good.
with their vote and has enough information to make a, informed decision.
It also gets them to get their stuff in on time, which is
Yeah.
hard to do sometimes.
It is. Everybody's crazy busy. So,
Jim, do you want to make a motion?
I really, because there's another group involved, the Inner West Street group is going to be in the same apple cart. It would be prudent of me to recuse myself from voting and or submitting an emotion, but I trust you guys to come up with something. And or just table it until we resolve this dilemma.
I think Cynthia has a motion.
I'll make a motion to for $2,000 for the Songwriters Festival.
Do we have a second? Okay, motion fails.
Yeah, this is Krista. I'll second it.
Oh, sorry. Jumped the gun there. Okay.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to fund the Songwriter Festival retroactively for $2,000. Can I have a roll call vote, please, Joe?
Sorry, I'm muted. Yes, David.
You go to me first.
Oh.
So someone, I'll say aye.
Jim, are you voting on this?
No, I'm abstaining.
Okay. Barbara?
You know how I feel about it, but I'm abstaining.
Aye.
Krista?
I'm not abstaining. I'm voting for the 2,000, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Cynthia?
Aye.
Genevieve?
Aye.
And Joe, aye. Motion passes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to untable the ask for, we can do the Dinner Under the Stars music sponsorship? The budget was $23,525.
Oh, hang on, I hate to do this, but do we need to untable them one by one by motion?
Yeah. So
I'll make a motion. I will make a motion to untable Dinner Under the Stars request for, I can't remember how much money that was.
1,000, I think.
Yeah, $1,000. That's right.
I second.
All in favor?
Say aye.
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 Untabled.
Just to clarify, this is for $1,000 for Dinner Under the Stars. That's what's
Correct.
on the table. Okay.
It's not $1,000. The budget that they had was $23,525.
Yeah,
but we're
I
just
don't know the exact. I thought it was 10,000, but don't quote me on that.
I thought that
but
was
we're
the other one.
untabling it to discuss it.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
Sorry, I misspoke.
Okay. So anybody opposed untabling it for discussion? Okay. So discuss away.
Once again, I'll make a motion to provide $2,000 in support of the artists for Dinner Under the Stars.
Thank you, Cynthia. Do we have a second?
Okay. just before, can I ask a question before we second approve?
Yep.
Do we know the amount that they asked for? I'm trying to.
Yes, I have it. It for this one for Dinner Under the Stars was $23,525.
Really now? Okay now. Go big or go home, I guess.
Answer is always no if you don't ask.
True.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion is on the floor for $2,000 to go to Dinner Under the Stars music sponsorship. May I have a roll call vote, please, Joe?
Yes. Barbara,
Aye.
Krissa,
Aye.
Cynthia,
Aye.
Aye.
Genevieve,
Aye.
Joe, I, and David.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. So I have a motion to untable the music sponsorship ask for First Sunday Arts Festivals.
A second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Oh, aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, then we'll untable. Feel free to have a discussion on this if you like, or does anybody want to make a motion?
So the budget ask on this was 15,700.
I make a motion to provide $2,000 for the musicians during the First Sunday Arts Festival.
We have a second.
Where are we? Okay. It's David, I second.
Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Krissa,
This is on
Aye.
delayed action.
Cynthia,
Aye.
Genevieve,
Aye.
Joe, I, David,
Aye.
and Barbara.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Fabulous. Okay. And whoops, put down the wrong one. Now we can get into new business. Laura, are you ready, or did you want to go after Tola still?
Hi, I'm just finishing up dinner preparations for my daughter, but if you could I just go right after the next person? Would that be okay?
That's fine. Yep. Okay. Julian, we'll bring Debbie in then, please, from Chesapeake Children's Museum.
Video. Okay, here I am. Hello, sorry about that.
Hi,
I was,
Debbie.
hi, we're having the Kunta Kinte wrap-up meeting at the same time, so
Oh, good.
in and out of the meetings, but it was a great event.
It was
Great.
indeed.
I'm
Thanks
here
for
with,
all your hard work.
thank you. It's a pleasure. It's my annual trip to Africa without shots.
Or passport.
No passports required. Don't even have to get in a plane.
There you go.
So I'm here with the Chesapeake Children's Museum, and thank you for our last grant, which was almost 2 years ago, a year and a half anyway. And what we want to do is add to our musical playground. we have a couple of pieces and we want to add 2 more store-bought catalog pieces and make the area wheelchair accessible with a surface that you can roll on from the sidewalk. So all told, with a little bit of labor on our part, would be $6,000.
Questions?
I don't have any questions. I know the area. I walk through there periodically, and I just wish she could make bigger toys to play with.
Okay, give us more money.
It's very nice. It's very nice, and I think it'll be a really nice activity area for kids.
So Devin, I'm looking at the image you sent. When now the other part is the I guess it's like sort of the cushioning on the ground.
Mhm.
Okay, is that part of this as well?
Yeah, that's so that if you're in a wheelchair, you can roll into this area.
It's
So that's-
mostly sand on the ground, so it's
Okay.
hard to maneuver through there.
Yeah,
got
right.
you.
Right now we have wood chips there. So this would be taking out the wood chips and redoing all that surface so that it's rollable.
Cool. And the state of play, I'm looking at the image, little kids playing on, is that a bongo or a drums?
Yeah, 2 drums and
Okay.
then the other one with, I think it's called chimes.
Yeah, I saw the chimes. That's cool. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I'm looking, understand what I'm looking at. All right, cool. Thank you.
Sure. And timeline would be, we'd get started on it right away so we can have it up while the weather's still lovely.
Gotcha. Who
I
installed
moved.
this stuff?
Oh, are we still talking in the group? Do we have a
Are there
motion?
any other questions for Debbie?
How's it gonna be installed? The chimes.
So
and everything?
I have with concrete. So my staff person, who also happens to be bilingual, his dad has a home improvement business and his dad has volunteered a couple of times, but Ruben's pretty good at pouring concrete by now, so he knows how to do the install. And we had a professional playground builder put in the log boat. So Andrew said he'd be happy to help with whatever needs to be done.
Cool. Okay.
So it won't be me.
All right. I know your home improvement skills up to par.
Yeah, I have some.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I have no more questions, Genevieve.
Okay. Do we have a motion for support?
So moved.
How
Second,
much? How much? The full amount?
Yes.
Wait, I thought our new process was we were not moving straight to votes.
Oh, that's right. We're not doing votes right now. Thank you, Joe, for the
Okay,
reminder.
just tell me what to
Sorry.
do.
Sorry, I was reading and talking at the same time. It'll get me in trouble.
Yeah, thank you,
So-
John. Like, oh, we're moving straight to vote? Okay.
No,
All
wait a minute.
right.
Yeah, you can speak up, David. It's okay. Okay. So we will vote in the end. So thank you, Debbie, and
Okay.
we'll give you a notice of decision.
Should I stay on? Or you'll
You
just-
can stay in the waiting room if you wish to watch the rest of the
Sure.
meeting. That's fine.
Yep. Okay.
thank
Thanks.
you, Debbie.
Sure thing.
Tell everybody I said hi.
I will.
Thanks.
Okay. Laura, are you ready? Oh, go ahead,
Yes.
Cynthia. Hold on a second. Cynthia has her hand up.
Just a comment, they're our long-term partners and we didn't give them any funding for the last few years. This is just a wonderful thing for the community, and plus keeping in mind the accessibility for disabled children. So I would definitely encourage all my commissioners to give her the whole 6,000, because it's a very worthwhile project, and everything Debbie does is really fantastic.
Thank you, Cynthia. Go ahead, Laura, you have the floor.
All right. I created a PowerPoint, but I'm on my phone. I don't know if I can share my screen or if you have it there, Genevieve. I can try to do this otherwise.
I sent it out to everybody, but you should be able to share your screen if you have it on your phone. Let me see if I can.
Like trying to make me download Zoom again for some reason.
Of course.
Hold on.
Let's see.
No, it's not letting me.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
Laura, you can always send it to me too.
Oh, here, I'm going to send that to you then. Okay, here.
Okay. Julian, you gonna do it?
I have it as well, I think.
If
Yeah, I was gonna
does,
share my screen,
PowerPoint.
but we'll let Julian do it.
I just sent it to you, Julian.
I
My
have
way
it
of
up if you wanna. I have it up as well if we want to do it that way. Or is Julian doing it?
I think Julian said he's doing it, and I
Yeah.
shared it with him. So I think,
Okay, there we
yeah,
go.
he just started the screen share. Yep. All right. So thanks, Julian. Continuing last year, I spoke to you guys about a couple of initiatives for the Latino community. So I'm back this year to continue discussing and seeing if we can continue getting some support. So next slide. My ask today is about the Day of the Dead Festival. So just a quick intro to the Day of the Dead. It is an event that is celebrated across Latin America. It's mainly known as a Mexican traditional holiday that is celebrated on November 1st and November 2nd. But this is also an event that's celebrated in a whole bunch of other countries in Latin America. And I mentioned here the list of a couple of places: Ecuador, Guatemala, Peru, Brazil, Bolivia. Are some of the main folks that also celebrate. It's also in a couple of countries in Europe, but it is larger than just Mexico. It is a widely celebrated tradition in Latin America. So next slide. So this was last year, Day of the Dead. A couple of the different groups that came out, and as you can see, a lot of our community members come out in full dress and makeup. People get really excited about this event. They enjoy it a lot. It started 4 years ago, 5 years actually, but we had to skip one throughout because of the pandemic. So this is our 4th year doing the festival. It started as a really small event with around 300 people. It's been growing each year. Next slide. This is an awesome video that Julian made of last year if you guys want to see it. Not sure if our
more fun.
Ciudad de Nápoles, queremos que todos nuestros vecinos tengan una voz y se sientan queridos y amados.
All right, so we can go on to the next slide. But that shows a little bit about the festival. This is our flyer that we're going to start putting out. Basically sharing what we do during the event. There's food, there's drink, there is live performances. We have 2 groups of Latino makeup artists that do the makeup, and a pretty extensive fair with Latin artisans that come from all over the area, a lot of local folks, but also folks from, as far as Virginia. And it's really an awesome, fun time for community members. Next slide. So we're estimating it's about $20,000 for the event. We started in our first year with a $3,000 budget with Adriana Lee. And we have worked that up every single year. And this year we're trying to push ourselves to do a little bit more. And next year we're going to try to, do a really big event because it's the 5-year anniversary. So we're hoping that we can get about half of that budget and support this year from Art and Public Places Commission. Next slide. So this would cover the live performances, the production, the light, sound, electrical, our bilingual promotion. So going through the, different media channels and also our Hispanic communications folks, and covering any staging needs. And next slide. And I just wanted to make a couple of notes. So this was mentioned earlier on today's call, but the art reception for the art gallery that is up in City Hall is on October 10th for Latin American Hispanic Heritage Month. And it's from 5 to 6:30 p.m. We have Jóvenes Artistas and a Latino youth choir that are going to be performing that day. So if you guys can come out, it would be awesome, especially as this is an event that we do with you guys. Next slide. And here's the other project that we're working on also in tandem with you guys. So I just want to sort of give you a heads up that this is out. And we do have the youth poetry contest up again this year. The contest runs from September 15th to October 15th. We are working with Annapolis High School closely, and we sent it out to just about every school in Annapolis and asked for folks to support and to get involved. And we have been taking it out to all of our different community fairs, and we're doing activities on paper with it, so we can also collect information from folks who might not be getting it through social media and other traditional channels. Next slide. And that's the book cover and back cover if you guys had it from last year. And if you don't, it's also up on the website at www.annapolis.gov/OCS, and you go into the programs, youth poetry, all the way at the bottom, you can click a link that will show all the poems from last year. And I think that's it. And I just realized my camera has been off this whole time.
Any questions for Laura?
So also just quickly, we're organizing this with the Center of Help and with OLA, as well as Maryland Hall. This year is getting more involved, and they're opening their doors inside, and they're organizing workshops for the community. And they've been doing a buildup of workshops throughout Hispanic Heritage Month. They also did an art gallery, and they're building up throughout the month the altar for the Day of the Dead inside, and we're going to do the altar outside as well.
So that, what is the date of the event?
October 29th.
October 29th. And the deadline is October 15th?
Yeah, I mean, I put that as a estimate, but we're trying to, as soon as possible, really, but it could be after the event. We could pay, back.
And the event's at Maryland Hall?
Yeah.
And what time?
From 4 to 9 p.m.
Got it. Okay.
Laura, not trying to jinx your event, but is there a rain date?
The following weekend is our rain date. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. But it's not going to rain. I promise.
It's not going to rain.
It hasn't rained all summer.
Only all of the city dock fiestas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rained a lot. Don't even get me
Yeah.
started with that, Jim. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Downpour.
Yeah.
Snow. Ooh, I don't want to say that word. It'll be beautiful.
Any other questions for Laura?
Of your acts, how many are local?
Of our acts, they're just
Yeah, the
about all
musical acts.
local.
How many
Yeah.
are in the Annapolis area, Annapolis surrounding area?
DMV
Oh,
area.
so they're all local.
I mean, local to Annapolis area.
Local to Annapolis. I think there's Grupo Quimbao is the only one that is Silver Spring.
Okay,
The rest are
Laura,
Annapolis based.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Laura, is there a place online, or do you have a book of the poetry that you have received from last year? And the
Yeah.
contest?
So if you go to annapolis.gov/OCS under the programs tab, there should be a piece that says youth poetry. And there is a link in that. So first, it's the information for this year's contest, but at the bottom, there's a link that takes you to the poems that were published in the book last year. It's a PDF, but without the front and back cover, because how we had it laid out for the printing. But we also have some books, I think, at City Hall. So definitely can.
Excellent.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you so much, Laura.
Okay. Thank you.
And next up for presentation is Adetola from the Mayor's Office for Outreach.
Hello.
Welcome, Tola. You can go ahead and introduce yourself and you have the floor.
Greetings, everybody. I apologize. I'm just coming from the leadership and Arundel meeting. But I thought I was getting on at 7:30, but it's over now, so I had to go to my car. But yes, so I'm here to speak on what we're calling the City of Annapolis Haunted Hilltop, which will be a Halloween celebration at the Pitt Moyer Center, October 23rd. It's sponsored by Rodney Barnes, the writer and movie producer, and the mayor's office. We're looking for funding for a DJ, sound, lighting, and a smoke machine. And the target audience for the event is families, elementary school, middle school youth. And we're looking to use the bottom floor of the Pitt Moyer Center, create a haunted house, a scary selfie museum, and then we'll have like a dance section area, a party area, and then an area for like candy and vendors.
Sounds like fun.
Thanks.
Do we have questions for Tola?
Just out of curiosity, will Rodney be there?
Yes, he will.
Cool.
And we'll be giving out comic books that he'll be providing.
Cool. I went to school with Rodney.
Okay, cool.
Will you have arts and crafts, Tola?
Yes. So part of the project, we're going to be working with a couple local artists to create like the backdrops, and then we want to have little art projects, fun little game type of thing, and projects that the youth can work on, when they're not doing any other activities.
Okay, can you repeat the date again for me, please?
October 23rd.
Cool, I got you. And what's the time frame?
Before to 7:30.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And your budget is your budget request for us is $2,000.
Yes.
Do you know how that's going to be spent? Oh, I see. It says DJ lights, smoke machine. I like a smoke machine. Hopefully it makes music.
Yeah, well, the DJ will handle the music. But yeah, so for the haunted house, we kind of wanted to kind of spook you up a bit more.
Some ambiance.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And we were, I didn't want to put this in there, but because we haven't fully confirmed that, but we wanted to do a Halloween parade. But we don't know if we're able to shut down the street, even though we'd only be going from Truxton Park to the Pitt Moyer Center. But we might do the parade around Pitt Moyer. Costume parade.
Just out of curiosity, is there going to be like a costume contest or anything like that?
Yeah, we're going to have, individual costume contests, and then also family, if families want to dress up as well. So we'll have different categories for the contest.
Cool. What's the prizes for the winners?
Probably some signed autograph, signed comic books from Rodney, but also be looking for some donated items as well to give out to the winners.
Got it. Cool. 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Gotcha.
Any other questions?
Nope. Good.
Yes, does the city of Annapolis Police Department, the community outreach, do they already have something planned for Halloween? And are they collaborating with you?
Yeah, so we're working with the Annapolis United group, which is the police, Rexham Park, fire OEM. I'm not too sure if they're doing something separate, but I think they usually support other groups during Halloween. I'm not sure if they do their own thing, but they'll definitely be working with us on this.
Be sure to invite the mayor and ask him to come in costume.
Oh, definitely.
Get
we
pictures.
want to get him. Yeah, we want to get him in some type of theme we haven't figured out yet. So,
Just have a lot of fun.
thanks.
Looks like we lost Genevieve for a second. No more questions, I guess. All right, cool. Thank you, Tola. Appreciate your time.
Thank y'all. Have a great day. Thank
You too. Take care, man.
Good luck.
you. Thank you.
It's an easy one.
All right. I miss Halloween. Wish I was a kid again. I should go trick-or-treating anyway. All right, cool.
Okay.
So we're good with Tola. So I don't know if there's anybody else.
Nope, that's all that's on the agenda.
Cool, cool, cool.
So we can do discussion. Anybody want to lead discussion about the Day of the Dead celebration? Anybody have any thoughts, concerns, comments?
None from me.
Oh, and I
Sounds
want,
like a nice,
I'm
sounds
sorry.
very nice. Do you need a motion?
Chris, I had to leave the meeting, just so everybody knows. So
Okay.
she's no longer present, but go ahead, Jim.
It sounds like a nice event. $10,000 is a lot of money, but if we help them this year, possibly next year, we should really think about how we define future years. And meaning that we need to lower that amount a little bit. I guess, I don't know.
I'll have to see what the budget is next year.
Yeah, I appreciated Laura's pegging the request to the fact that they're purposely trying to grow it.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I have a general question. This is not it's only because it came up in sort of every all three. It's always this question about how strictly we can interpret what we can pay for or not. So in all three, I feel like there was a component that was like, is that within our charge? So can we buy mulch? Or can we fund mulch?
Well, if the mulch is somehow incorporated into a sculpture or art structure, then sure. But
okay.
But if somebody just wants it for flower beds, I don't, But then again, the definition of art is, we've asked this of Ashley before, it's very broad, and so
that's why
it's
I'm
all
asking.
eye of the beholder, right?
Yeah.
I guess
I think, and I know, and it's just that whole, since we're having kind of oversight conversations,
right.
It's like the musical instruments, like, great for the intention even of what it's gonna become, but it's not exactly a sculpture, and
right.
And then in the Day of the Dead, in part of the list was kind of a kind of bilingual promotion, and it's like that feels a little bit outside of our scope, maybe. And then in the last one, the smoke machine, amazing, but and I don't know how to parse that out because we didn't get a detailed budget.
Yeah, so it would be, yeah, right. So we don't know how much the smoke machine would be.
I know,
out of that.
and
Yeah, I mean, we could kind of guess, probably a couple hundred. But yeah, production.
it's more of a general question.
Yeah. So production can be included in the cost of the show because, I mean, I guess you could put on a show without a smoke machine, but, like if we had a show down at City Dock at night that went until 10 o'clock, and it's still dark, lights and sound, and stage and, safety stuff that could be included in making the show happen. So there is certain parts of production. I guess, promotion could be, because it does support the event in a way. But by any means, again, we don't have, we get to pick and choose, that's the benefit that we have in these discussions and figuring out which parts are most important to support in order to make these events successful for our community and for those holding them. So
maybe we could give these applicants a checklist and have them mark on that checklist the items that they want to use, and the amount of money that they're going to allocate to that, as a way of getting a real clear picture of just where that money is going. I'm not all that sure that that's that critical, but the real issue for me is I don't mind what they spend it on, as long as it creates an event, because obviously we've defined art as the event, and well, maybe we have, and that promotion, the idea of promotion is that they build the event so that they no longer have to apply to us for money. They have enough gate receipts or vendor spaces or whatever their funding sources might be. And that's another point. We might ask them, what are your other funding sources? Especially these big events. I mean, some of these big events are self-funded.
It's actually on the application.
it is on the application where the
What else
other
are
funds
you,
are coming
what are you
from.
getting money from?
Yeah, I've read it once, but that you got to really study this thing. It's a novel.
Yeah.
So it says budget and funding, but there's basically 3 lines of, what does that mean? I mean, does that really tell us what we need to know? I mean, if it does and you're all happy with that, I'm fine too, but seems kind of limited. But at any rate, I guess it gets down to, do we like the event? Do we think it's artistic in some way? And will it benefit the community? And clearly, the Latin community in Annapolis needs to have a little benefit from us. And clearly, the activity at the Children's Museum will benefit a lot of small children, and it will be a kind of park that kids can go to during the week with their parents and play. And that's probably a good thing, because every time I go through there, different hours of the day, there's parents with kids running around screaming and playing and having a good time. The Halloween benefit, or the Halloween activity, I just think is fun. And his budget is very reasonable. I hope it covers what he needs, because it's not a lot. And it's well within our $2,000 limit, if there is such a thing. I mean, it's certainly, and if it helps him get started and develop this, it'd be great. So that's my
Thank you, Jim.
stream of conscious.
Yeah, I tend to agree with most of what Jim's. I mean, the Day of the Dead thing, promotion, and that gets back to Joe's point. I remember one point in time we weren't funding, stages and sound and all that kind of stuff. We were focused on the artists, the performing folks, and I don't, and you make a valid point. I mean, you can't, some things you need. It's got to go hand in hand. If you're gonna have a band, you need sound to hear the band. So it's kind of like, okay, well, why not? The promotion thing. And I guess the only upside of the promotion is that it gives us some promotion, because if we got our little logo on there, it gives us a little bit of promotion as well, which is, but I don't know if, that's $10,000 worth of that. But, I agree, definitely Debbie Woods. I've walked through there before back in the day, and it was literally like stuff that was dangerous to people. I'm glad it's only starting to, I'm serious. I mean, things are just falling apart and kind of termite infested. It was just kind of crazy. I think the haunted house is a good, safe environment for people to be in. I think people kind of freaked out about things, so that provides a safe environment for the community, which is great. And $2,000, I think, is in there. The Day of the Dead seems like a really cool thing. I just, $10K is a lot, but so I would give them something. But I don't know if it's $10K worth.
So if we do wood sculpture, we know we have to treat the wood after we make
And
the sculpture. That's what
exactly.
didn't happen.
That's why she's getting all plastic now, so that and I think to your point, Joe, it's not really mulch, and I think it's like it's part of it's like a rubberized like stuff in case for wheelchair, in case somebody falls down, it's more softer versus like not like mulch and like planting anything. So I think it's kind of part of the installation, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. For all three, I totally am. And I feel like what I don't want to do is actually kind of penalize the Children's Museum because she broke out the budget. You know what I mean? And it's just hard for us when we get kind of line item versus a lump sum. And
you start splitting hairs at that point.
I know.
Like, is this or is this a recycled mulch, or is it like is it eco-friendly mulch? And it gets kind of confusing.
But I feel like when we're looking at some reasonable requests that we're all supportive of, that's a better time to maybe have that conversation about sort of a scope. And if we really have to watch our budget, like how do we decide how to parse that out? So
well, I can make a motion if we want. Do we have to make a motion individually, or can we? Oh, sorry. Cynthia,
yeah, let's
Cynthia has a question.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Okay. I just propose not making a motion yet, but I would think 6,000 for the Children's Museum. That's going to be used every day, week by week, month by month for many children. The $6,000 makes a lot of sense. I think 5,000 for the event, Day of the Dead event is reasonable. And I think 1,000 for the Halloween party, which I think they will have other funding sources. So that's my suggestion. We can take it or leave.
Okay. Anybody else in discussion?
Could you run down those numbers real quickly?
6K for Debbie Woods, 1,000 for the Halloween, and 5,000 for Day of the Dead.
Just trying to find.
Did you say 5,000?
5,000 for the Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is what Cynthia proposed.
Yes.
Laura asked for 10,500. I am trying to find.
What was Debbie's original ask?
6,000.
So hers is so Cynthia is floating the idea of kind of full funding for Children's Museum and kind of roughly half for the other two.
My thinking is that a lot of kids over time are going to get use of the 6,000 at the Children's Museum, and the other two are just one-day events.
Yeah, but the Day of the Dead service is so many people at one time. I mean, it's hundreds of people, so we might be comparing apples and oranges with there. And I was trying.
I think they have some pretty good other funding sources resources?
Well, they have, I believe 9,500 already raised out of the 20,000 budget.
Mhm.
And I was trying to
Yeah.
see what we gave them in years before. But also
Yeah, I
a
was trying to find
reminder, we
that too.
gave, yeah, I've been looking. We gave Kunta Kinte 10,000 this year for a
Mhm.
one-day event. So something to keep in mind that that is what we're basically paying for our community cultural festivals.
That's super helpful context as a reminder. Yeah.
I kind of
Okay.
like the idea of giving the, well, I'd rather give them all what they asked for, but I know we can't do that, or we don't choose to do that. I would like to see us do the full funding on the Halloween party. That's definitely on. I mean, it's indoors, so it'll be definitely happening. It's pretty reasonable budget to present to us. The 10,000 seems like a lot of money. But again, we don't, how many have we done this before for that group?
For
Have
the
we
Day
done
of
the
the
Day
Dead?
of the Dead? Have we spent money with them before?
We
Yes, but it
have,
was a much
Yeah.
smaller amount.
yes, because we had a much smaller budget.
Yeah.
So in
Mhm.
2022, we gave 6,000 to Kunta Kinte. And then this year, out of our fiscal year budget, we gave 10,000. That is in our records. I think because we paid the artists directly last time with Day of the Dead, I can't find the numbers in here. Because it doesn't say Day of the Dead like festival. We gave them 800
Oh.
to the Day of the Dead.
Well, maybe we need to make up for it.
Wow, that
Instead, so
Can
I'd
we
like to make
ask-
a motion on the floor for Day of the Dead to support for 10,000. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Can I get a roll call vote, please, Joe?
Yes. Cynthia,
No,
Genevieve,
Aye.
Joe, I, David,
Aye.
Jim,
I would have gone for a lower amount, but I'll vote you aye. Let's
and
get 'em
Barbara.
right.
Aye.
And then Chris's not here. So motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-1.
Okay, thank you. Do we
And
have a
what's the other-
motion for Debbie for the Chesapeake Children's Museum in the support?
I make a motion. that we
She asked
support-
for 6,000, correct?
Yes, that's correct. David, what's your motion?
My motion is that we support Debbie with $6,000. for the
I second the
$6,000
motion.
budget. Cool.
Okay. Roll call vote, please, Joe.
Genevieve,
Aye.
Joe, I, David,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
and Cynthia.
aye.
Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you. Do I have a motion on the floor to support the Halloween festival with Rodney Barnes at the Pip Moyer Center?
Genevieve,
I move that we,
Oop,
Go ahead, Barbara. What?
I'm
I-
sorry.
go ahead, make the motion for the full 2,000 for the Halloween event.
Thank you, Barbara. Do I have a second?
A
Second.
Oops. Jim, you can have this.
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry, David.
Yeah, go
Fight
ahead,
over
man.
it.
I'm already second. but
2
I'll-
seconds.
2
Can I have
seconds.
a roll call vote, Joe, please?
Sure. We'll start with me this time. Joe, I, David,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Cynthia,
Aye.
and Genevieve.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous.
Wonderful. Okay, that brings us to open discussion. Does anybody have anything to chat about that was not on the agenda?
I do want to, I know maybe so just as we think about this between now and next month, start getting some timelines for Westgate Circle. I mean, just start thinking about, when we need to, have an action plan in terms of, when we need to have a committee put together, or start outreaching or what have you. So between now and the next month, maybe we can put that on the agenda, Joe, for next month, to start getting some timelines for, when the RFP, because I mean, there's a process for that as well. Talk about our subcommittees, and then maybe that'll be enough for now. Just get those two deadlines, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I will let
David?
procurement know
Okay.
that we will.
David, back in March, on March 13th, I think Cynthia sent out a sort of a proposal for a request for proposal for the Westgate Circle project with a timeline.
Okay.
And that email might be good to take a look at. It's one way of doing it, I guess. And it would allow for the smaller selection committee, and that's not limited by this document. So Cynthia, maybe you might want to send that around.
Yes, and if you have that again, could you send that out, please?
Sure, will do.
Thank you. Because ironically, I was there for the first Westgate Circle proposal experience.
I was too. We both were.
Yeah, it's quite, it was my first year into that, so it was kind of an interesting process. But considering we only had $10,000, it was pretty limited in scope. So this will be a little bit different, I imagine. That's all I got, Madam Prez.
Thanks, David. I want to make a mention, Joe, if you can put Audrey Lee on our agenda for October. I did ask her to compile the calendar for next year for the gallery and what she proposes to have in there so we can review it and approve it, as well as have her come and officially meet everybody. Because I know some of you haven't met her yet. So definitely put her on there for me, please, if you would.
Is it just her gallery, or is it for the gallery committee?
No, so Audrey, no, she's the one that does the selective process. We pay her as our gallery coordinator for arts and public places to coordinate and install the exhibits that we have at City Hall and at Pitt Moyer.
Okay.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Okay, these are old maintenance issues. One of the Stan and Joe's art walk murals, the frame is in need of repair. And then that's the first one. And number two, the Shaping a City, it's at Newman Park on Compromise Street. That was an old project Sally did with the school, the students, and it's in storage right now. The fence is back up and the artwork needs to be reapplied to that fence. So Lisa Greco, we could send her a note and tell her that, we'd like to have the art exhibit once again. And then Joe, okay, two things on the item for October meeting. SOFO, the South Forest Drive group. Lori Stout is going to present. We've been collaborating with them for years on the Annapolis Middle School fence, and they still have some pieces that they are going to install on the fence. They are asking for our continued funding. They did not get any funding in 2022, so they are, once again, they have 2 or 3 more items to install on that fence. Also, SOFO has set up a venue for the Cars Beach, what I call now the beaches exhibit. Along the a SOFO member is Max Pettit. He owns the car wash, and he requested 4 photo murals to be exhibited along that side of the building facing Forest Drive. So Deanie Henson, who's a longstanding advocate for this program, she's the executive director of the Hoppy Adams Foundation. She's going to come and present next month, and she's going to discuss this new scope of work for the new enhanced Cars Beach, Elktonia Beach, and Sparrows Beach project.
Thank you.
Will each of these people submit a proposal, one of our applications?
Yes, they
So that
will.
we can review it?
They're pretty prepared to do it this month, but we moved it ahead 1 month.
That's-
But yeah, they're going to be submitting all the paperwork a good ways prior to the day of the meeting.
Okay, any other open discussion?
Genevieve, thanks for sending me the budget.
You're welcome. I'm glad you got it.
I have long been an advocate that we have meetings in the public eye, i.e. we meet in the flesh instead of in the video world. I really wish that we could do that at our next meeting. I think it would be really appropriate, especially with the people that will be showing up. There's no reason not to have a meeting in the public's eye. If members cannot make a meeting, I know it might be inconvenient for Joe, they could dial in and be available on a screen in the meeting and hear what's going on and participate. Perhaps we can find space in City Hall to do it, or at Moyer Center. I guess Moyer Center is really more appropriate. I just think that we need to be seen by the public.
But we are.
I don't think, well,
this is-
we're really not, because how many people from the public are here and how many have been asked if they have something they want to say?
Well,
None.
public, no, that's not true. Public comment is open. The agenda is posted and the public comment is always open, and they can submit comments prior to the meeting as well.
After
Hold on,
the
Jim.
fact.
Hold on, please. As well as this is broadcast live from the television, the city television, and it's recorded and people can watch it later. So we actually have a larger outreach. We also had this discussion last meeting in which Mark told us that the capabilities of the Pitt Moyer Center is not conducive to us broadcasting from there, having people sign in from there. And when we had meetings there before, and Cynthia can attest to this, that the technology that's offered to us is very limited, and we struggled to have presentations there because the projector wasn't working or the Wi-Fi wasn't working. We couldn't get access in the back rooms. So it made actually our meetings really harder to have, where this allows our artists to be able to easily sign in and put a presentation up so everybody can see it. That presentation is also recorded, so it is open to the public. Public can see it now or they can see it later. And where if they presented it in person to us, we wouldn't have that information available to the public unless the public was in the room, which is very limited. We normally did not have a large attendance of people. Maybe, I think one time I remember somebody came that was not presenting and she just wanted to be part of the meeting and just see how it worked. This way, everybody can watch it later. I do know people are tuning in, and you can see how many views happen by looking at the video later on the city site. Go ahead, Cynthia has her.
I think we should follow the example of the city council, and most boards and commissions are meeting in person. I think there's no longer any reason to have remote meetings. If the need should arise in the future, we could go back to this format, but I think we need to revert to the old Pitt Moyer meeting in person, and I'll make a motion if we're ready.
Well, hold on. So Joe, we voted on this last time.
Well, we want to vote on it
We
again.
did.
Well, hold on. Did we have a
did.
time frame?
No, in fact, that's what I was just looking at. The motion was just to remain virtual in our meeting format.
Okay.
That was the language of the June proposal.
Okay, thank you. And all commissions except for one are still virtual. So everybody, there's only one commission that meets in person.
I think there's also, and I have to check with Ashley, that was one of the questions asked initially when we started doing this, is that I don't think your vote counts if you're virtual. Was that still the case? Have they changed
That's not
that?
the case. Yeah, that's not the case anymore.
Okay, cool. Glad we got to the 21st century with these folks. All right, cool.
So
Well,
27 out of 28 commissions are still virtual. Just so
Well,
we know.
let's put it,
So it's
let's
on
put it
record.
to, let's put it to a vote. The city council is meeting in person and they don't even have masks on. And so I think that it's time, to go back to the old format. And I make a motion to start meeting at Pitt Moyer in October.
Do we have a second?
I second the motion, and I don't really care where it is. It could be at City Hall one night when they're not using it, or somewhere else.
Well, the problem is City Hall closes at 4 o'clock. So if we want to have a meeting at City Hall at the time that we have a meeting, we have to pay for overtime for the staff to be there. Just the point so you guys know. But anyway, we have a motion on the floor, so I'm sorry. All those in favor of going back to in-person, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We take a, Joe, you want to take a count?
All of those opposed, say aye. Say nay, sorry. Nay.
Nay.
Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, you're
Nay.
muted.
We're all muted. There we go. Okay. Try that again, please.
Let's just do it on a voice vote. David,
No.
Jim,
Aye.
Barbara,
No.
Cynthia,
Aye.
Genevieve,
Nay.
Joe, nay. Motion fails.
Okay.
Anything
Okay.
else for open discussion?
Brian has something to say.
All right, go ahead, Brian, you have the floor.
I just wanted to encourage everybody to go down and see the newest mural on Prince George Street. If you haven't been by the new one in the Rundle Center, go do it and do the virtual app. I know you guys discussed this, but I was being quiet and staying back. The Songwriter Festival went great. They were anticipating to lose $200,000 or $300,000, I think, but with the great weather, I don't know anything about the numbers yet, but with the incredible weather we had, it was a great success. The couple of airplane fulls of musicians from Nashville and kind of the equivalent of me in the mayor's office in Nashville, of the culture and arts. I got to meet him. They just all loved Annapolis. The people from New Orleans loved Annapolis. We had something like 70 or 80 free shows. We had something like 40 or 50 local musicians playing with national acts. So I hope you were all able to see some of that. And next year they may come to us for support. Anyway, thank you all for all you do.
Great report.
Anybody else?
One last thing. I'm working with Alderwoman Karma from Ward 2 and a resident over there, Deidre, who are really want to get a mural painted on a big cement wall at the end of Tucker Street, one of our 2 city boat ramps, and it's a beautiful opportunity. They were working with elementary school, but I'm not sure that's going to work out. But we have lots of great muralists here, and I think that will be a great additional mural to our city.
Thanks, Brian.
That'd be a great opportunity for kids with instruction from an artist. That would be great. Jeff does that. Jeff Huntington does that, but others can do that also.
Yeah, he did that at the Annapolis Elementary, and the county does work with the muralists to do stuff inside the building and outside as well, if they choose to. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Second, yep. All those in favor say aye.
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 Right.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
You have a good evening.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.